Thanks for 5 minutes.
Secretary Austin, last week, General McKenzie repeated that he has many regrets about the botched, deadly, and embarrassing withdrawal from Afghanistan, and that he supports investigations into that withdrawal. A moment ago, you said you executed the president's order. You didn't tell us what you advised the president to do. But do you have regrets about the withdrawal from Afghanistan?
I support the president's decision.
Do you have regrets about the withdrawal or how the withdrawal occurred from Afghanistan that cost the lives of 13 of our service members?
I don't have any regrets.
You don't have any regrets. Secretary Austin, it's very telling. Secretary Austin, has there ever been any accountability for anyone within the Department of Defense for the deadly, botched, and embarrassing withdrawal from Afghanistan? Any accountability?
Hey, listen, our troops evacuated 124,000 people off of that airfield.
Has anyone been held accountable? If a Navy captain grounded a ship, what happens immediately?
Typically, that captain is removed.
That captain is removed. Has anyone been held accountable for what happened in Afghanistan?
To my knowledge, no.
You don't regret it. No one's ever been held accountable. Mr. Chairman, this is why this Republican majority must provide the accountability that this administration wants to sweep under the rug with what happened in Afghanistan. General Milley,
to be clear, I don't
General Milley,
the great
General
work that
Milley,
our
a few
troops
weeks
did.
ago, Northcom Commander Van Herk sat before us and testified about the situation at the southern border. You commented a little bit ago, you agree there's a crisis at the southern border. It's a national security threat to this country. Every 7.5 minutes, an American dies from fentanyl poisoning because of the drugs that are flowing over the southern border. And since we've been in this hearing, that means 20 Americans have died of fentanyl poisoning. 99% of it comes over the southern border. General Van Herk told us that President Biden has never requested a single hearing from him, the Northcom commander, about the southern border. Has the president ever asked you for a briefing about the southern border and the national security threats?
I have been in several meetings and briefings, principals committees and other forums, specifically about the southern border. And there's no question.
With the president?
A couple of them were with Vice President and some discussions with the President. That's correct. Now, if I could, look at the southern border situation is a very serious situation, and you know it as well as I do, and that there's some, I think it's in the range, the reports I get is about 5,000 a day. You're talking about 35,000 people a week. That's an Army Corps that come across that border. And then with the fentanyl issue that you're talking about, look at, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but the ranges that have been reported to me is something where between 70 and 100,000. That's an enormous amount of casualties and people dying, young kids that are dying in our communities. So there is a crisis at that border. Now, the question is, what do you do about it? And we have to work much closer, I think anyway, with Mexico. There's certain things that have to be done along the border with the CPB and others. Now, that's out of our lane. That's DHS, et cetera.
I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to ask you this. So General Van Herk told me, he said, quote, President Biden could ask under special authorities for the military to do more. That's what he told us before this committee. What special authorities is he talking about?
I'm not sure. I'd have to check back with General Van Herk about the exact.
If there are special authorities,
yeah.
It's
well, there's
mind-blowing to me that the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, wouldn't use the military to secure our southern border if it is a crisis and a national security threat that you've agreed with us that it is today.
Yeah, if I could, I personally think the lead should be on the border itself, clearly law enforcement, as opposed to the military. Now, mechanically, could you line up divisions of troops? Of course you could. But is that the right thing to do? Is that the right way to do it? And I would certainly advise against that. We'll execute whatever decisions are made. But lining up...
You would advise against the military doing more at the southern border?
No, what I said was lining up troops and like securing the southern border with divisions of troops. Now, we are supporting the southern border with several thousand troops and logistics support. And I think the lead agency along the border itself should be the police. Now, this
Sir, I don't want to cut you off. I got to move on.
Okay,
but if General Van Herk said there are special authorities the president's not using to secure the border,
I'll find out.
We should be digging into that.
I'll find out
everything that we can.
I'll
Secretary Austin,
yep.
Last year in your budget request, you asked for $114.7 million for diversity and inclusion activities. This year, you asked for $27 million more. Does that mean that what you did last year didn't work, and that's why you need $27 million more? And how much is it going to take if you're already failing at your objectives with DEI? How much more are you going to need to succeed at it?
I just highlight, sir, that As you know, we are directed by Congress as a result of the 2020
Gentleman's
NDAA
time's expired.
to have a
I want to
program.
inform the witnesses and the members that to make sure everybody knows I'm being fair, I have been allowing members of the panel to finish their answers at the 5-minute point. I'm going to cease to do that. 5 minutes is 5 minutes to make sure that people understand that we treat everybody the same, no matter which side of the aisle they sit on.